Good evening, one and all, and welcome to the Toon review for tonight's transfer show stroke latest news. My name's Paul, joined by, of course, Mr. Stato himself, Alex. Thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. As usual, if you do enjoy the show, hit that thumbs up button for us. Very, very important to keep those coming in. And, of course, if you are new to the channel and you like what you see, please do subscribe. It is free to do so. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload or a live show. Of course, you can support the channel in the usual two ways. First of all is membership. That's the join button just underneath us. And, of course, super chats, which is the $ in the live chat. That'll guarantee your comment to be read out on the show. And finally, a massive thank you to channel sponsor Mamaru Records, based in Whitley Bay, for all your music needs, your vinyl, your CDs, your merchandise, your sport merch, your gift cards. And if you can't get into Whitley Bay, check them out online. It is pinned at the top of the description. Good afternoon, Alex, or good evening, I should say.
Good afternoon. No, it's definitely evening now. I've done the hard stuff today.
It is. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello to everybody in viewerland. Magpie massive. A lot of maybe slightly less excited people thinking we're maybe not going to sign anybody. We will at some point, guys. It's still good to have a look. It depends on sales as well. Yeah. Let's keep the faith.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a little bit about that because we you know what it is. There's been, I did that video earlier on today, and there's also been a lot of comments already in the chat tonight. Oh, what's the point of doing a transfer show? We're not signing anybody. Look, Newcastle United, fair enough, have said that, and I said that in my video earlier on today. But I still cannot believe that they won't, especially if there's outgoings. Okay, you know, and Alex said a really good point just before we went live was if the journalists are allowed to report all these players, why can't we look at them as a fan channel? Simple as that. And if one does come to fruition for some reason, you just never know. It might not. But listen, we're just looking at players and what they could bring to Newcastle United. Never on this channel do we sit and say, oh, they're definitely signing or anything like that. Am I pissed off as a fan right now? Yes. And that's why I did the video earlier on, to get people's thoughts and where they stood on the situation and how they were feeling. Are you frustrated? And judging by a lot of the comments, there is a massive amount of you that are frustrated by this and are getting a bit pissed off. And it's understandable. But what we're trying to do here is just look at players that have been linked, see what they will be... you know, what they might bring to the club should they ever sign.
Yeah, it's these shows are really important. This was one of the reasons I started doing what I do, is because I couldn't find stuff that I was interested in and just kind of started doing it myself. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of these players that they get linked and you get a short little article in a publication about how he's played for his youth setup in the national team, or he's good in the channels, or whatever the hell they say. And it's so thin, you can't really read a lot about it. So we try and amalgamate and put everything together in a show so we can talk about the player, how he would fit into the squad, if he would fit into the squad, wages, profile, age, ability. We try and look at the whole thing so that even if we don't sign them, maybe this window, it might be somebody that's on the books in 12 months, 18 months, 2 years. You know, some of these players can be long-term projects. And even beyond then, at least you guys are then better clued up on players that come to the Premier League. Kuzanov is a good one. We did him on a transfer show recently. He's gone to join Man City. Yeah, a lot of people really now understand who he is as a player, instead of just, oh, he's the first Uzbek player to come and play in the Premier League. We now kind of know a lot more about him because we did research for this show. So it is important, regardless of that. We want to be more than just, you know, a couple of fleeting sentences about, oh, he's a player and he plays up front. Well, that's useless to everybody. Nobody knows then, do they?
And the thing is, nobody knows what is going on behind the scenes. You know, Eddie sits there in his press conferences and he says, oh, I don't think anything's happening. Don't think anything's happening. I'm not privy to what goes on anyway in conversations like that. Now, there's been a lot of people saying Mitchell should come out and say something. Some people agree with that. Some people don't. It's all about opinions on that. However, you know, at some point we will get players, and you know, we might not get them in the winter window, but some of the players that we look at on these transfer shows may be players that suddenly come in the summer. and you just don't know. And look, a lot of work goes into these shows, and for people just to fob us off and say, "Oh, what's the point of doing these?" You know, they're done for a reason, right? And it's good to talk about, because you know what it is. Like I say, you never know. Newcastle United may stay stum on everything until one day, suddenly, breaking news: Newcastle United are in talks or have agreed a fee with such and such. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Nobody does. And at the end of the day, I will find, and I will be annoyed actually if we do get to the end of the transfer window and we've let players go and we haven't brought anybody in. I will be disappointed, because you know we know that the pressures on the first 11 and how many games are coming up and things like that. It's a very, very difficult league, and it's a lot of games. And at the moment, we're a couple of injuries away from having another. Well, not crisis as such, but to stay where we are, to stay challenging for Champions League, I don't think that's possible if we get 2 or 3 injuries, Alex. I really don't.
Yeah, obviously the 9 wins in a row has significantly helped us. Obviously, we've got slightly easier games on paper, and I'm just saying on paper, against Southampton and Fulham, to try and make sure that the ship gets steadied. But then it's going to be a really difficult February. So, yeah, if we do get a couple of big injuries, injuries, we might be able to ride that wave, or weather the storm, whatever cliches we're going to go for. But if it's a couple of important injuries, then yeah, we are buggered. I think if let's say, for example, Bruno and Isak are out for a couple of months together.
Yeah,
that's it for top 4.
Which
and that's not Eddie Howe's fault. That's not,
We don't exactly pick up the day-to-day injuries, do we? It always seems to be a month.
I think it's a flip of a coin. I think with Chelsea, with a team like Chelsea, I think a couple of important injuries, and because they've got such a big squad and so much talent, it wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility of them still challenging for 4th, 5th, 6th. Whereas with us, I think that's a bit different. I think we need our really, really key players to be able to challenge for that 4th, 5th, 6th. We need everybody fit and firing. If we get a few big injuries, then that sort of bracket is much harder to achieve for us. And again, financial restrictions. It is what it is.
Chris at Evermore says, evening lads, great video earlier, Paul. The club is gambling massively on fitness and form, and it's not going to pay off. Injuries in NUFC seem to go hand in hand. Robert says, not sure how leaves before his contract ends. Compensation would hit PSR. Joel says, you know what will happen? They will sell Almiron and Kelly in the last week of the window, and they'll say there wasn't enough time to sign anyone. If they say that, I will give my biggest rant on this channel since the Steve Bruce era. I promise you that. And I know Chris at Evermore, he's planning a big rant as well. Maybe we'll do a double hit together, because if they come out with that line, I will be foaming. Absolutely foaming. And I am not going back to that line, Alex, when they say there wasn't enough time to get anything over the fecking line again. I just couldn't face that.
Well, I think if that's used, it won't be the truth, because, with the setup we've got now and the time we've had, will they have been able to have had a plan for, okay, if we sell Miggy plus X, Y, and Z players, we can accumulate roughly this much money. Who could we go and get that fits our plans? That exists. That plan does exist.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily, it depends what happens. We got absolutely shafted in the summer. We were overbidding for players and getting rejected left, right, and centre. Yep. So if that happens again, you can't necessarily blame the club, but it's as long as this has been carefully managed into the summer with sort of end of contracts and big signings in the summer. But I think it depends on the context. It depends on the context. If we end up getting rid of Miggy plus one or two more, we all know that we've got 10, 20 mil in the kitty, roughly, and then we don't recruit anybody. Yeah, I think the club are going to have to take the hit from the fans. That they're going to be frustrated. They're just going to have to weather that. That's on them. But maybe that's their choice to then go and do it in the summer, or we'll see. We'll see what happens. We don't know.
I mean, Andy Ford's saying there, why rant? We're skint. We're not skint.
We're not talking about being skint. We're talking about if we actually shift Miggy and a few others, then there is a little pot. what are we going to do with that pot? That's the conversation. Like, if we don't shift anybody, then fine. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
We can't spend the money that PIF want to because of PSR. The club is not skint. It's not skint at all. But we can't spend the money. That's the frustrating thing. But
if we do bid decent things for players and it doesn't work out, I'm not going to blame the club. You know, if we're bidding 60, 70 for Mark Gahey and Crystal Palace are telling us to go fish, I'm not going to blame the club for that. I'm not blaming Paul Mitchell for not going above and beyond. Like, he's gone above and beyond already. That's already a ludicrous fee. Elanga at 50 is a huge fee, well, apparently, if that was true. So we were throwing some big fees around in the summer and ended up with nothing. You know, I'd rather we didn't do that. And if it fails, it fails. Like, I don't want us to go and spend way too much on a player. I don't think we can afford to. I think we need to be way smarter than that.
We do, but we need a signing. I mean, the club we're desperate. This is 3 windows with nobody coming in. Is mental. We've got a super chat from Shane. Sorry guys, if we sign no one, it will be a joke. And Mitchell can't be good enough. And then we miss Champions League. Isak and Bruno are gone. And I think that's the long-term worry. To be honest, Simon Ward says, got to ignore the media, all BS to get clicks. Yeah, a lot of it is. Absolutely 100% a lot of it is to get clicks. You know, but at the same time, they're putting their reputations on the line by stating certain things. So, you know, you've got to look at it from a different way. But the long-term worry is, Alex, that if, you know, we and again, we're talking very hypothetically here, as if to say, if we get a couple of injuries, we might not get any, okay? But this is Newcastle United, all right? And things tend to happen in different and funny, strange ways throughout the football season. But if we didn't get it is, but if we didn't get to Europe, Alex, you have to start questioning where Bruno's head would be after being at Newcastle for so long, what he was promised when he originally signed, where the club was heading. And then to not get Europe again, not seeing any players coming in. You know, these big players, they're getting to stages in their careers now where they will make decisions on whether they want to stay or go because they want to have some kind of winners' medals, trophies, etc. And when they're seeing Newcastle not strengthening, losing out on opportunities to get into Europe, etc., that could be a damning thing to happen to us.
Look, I mean, they've committed themselves so far. And we are pushing for trophies as well this season. Legitimately, like we're 90 minutes away on a 2-0 lead from getting to Wembley again. Second time so far with Eddie Howe. So he's walking the walk in regards to, and technically last season we finished in a place which was adequate enough for European football. It was just that Man United played against a hungover Man City team in the FA Cup. So on paper for us, Eddie Howe has been finishing in European places and has got us to close to sort of 2 trophy attempts. I will say attempts in sort of a 3-year period. So there are some positives. However, yeah, you are right to a degree. It's not an infinite time scale we've got. We can't keep saying to them, we'll strengthen. Because we have been bringing in, you know, if you look at the last few windows, it has been, apart from Lewis Hall being made a permanent signing, a lot of it's been sort of rotation, backup, challengers. It's not really been players that are going to be able to come on and make a difference immediately. We'll have to wait and see. And to be honest, I'm not too fussed about that because it's win-win for us, because we're either going to get the players that we like stay, or we're going to get a big pot of money for them, which we can use to progress. It is win-win. I know it hurts emotionally, but it is win-win for us at the end of the day.
I just don't want to, again, you know, finish this season as a nearly club again. You know what I'm saying, Alex? You know how we've been such a...
Well, a loss in a cup final and a 7th place finish
and then drift away from Europe because, you know, it's just... Look, I don't... it may turn out to be a fantastic season. We don't know. It's all very much pie in the sky at the minute, and there's still time to go in the transfer window. Aussie Mag says, watched your video earlier, Paul, and usually I agree with you, but I don't agree with what you said, that you agreed with what Alex said midweek, and then in the next breath, the club owed us an explanation. I didn't say that. Listen carefully, mate. What I said was, I agree with Alex that Mitchell doesn't necessarily have to come out and say anything. He doesn't. That's just fact. He doesn't have to. But I'd like him to. Me as a fan, as an individual, I'd like an explanation from Mitchell, whether that be after the window and explain why we couldn't spend, or before the window ends. Just give Newcastle fans some kind of reasoning as to what is going on. Be open with us. That's what I'm saying. I'm not sort of next breath changing my mind about anything. Alex is right. Mitchell doesn't have to come out. But me as a fan, I'd like to see him come out and say something.
I think one of the issues is the market so delicately set up right now. Anything he does say is a giveaway to competitors and players we might want to sign, which I guess it's getting more and more like that now, where the more we show our hand, the worse it is for us in the market for like a negotiating standpoint.
Yeah.
So people can kick and scream all they want. If Mitchell reveals our hand, it's worse for us.
Well, yeah, but if it gets to the end of the window, Alex, and we don't sign, the club have to say something, in my opinion. That, you know, I know they're not.
They absolutely don't.
No, they don't have to.
You'd like them to.
I'd like,
but they absolutely don't have to.
But I'd like them to.
They ain't got to do shit with our.
And I think a lot of fans, if the club just shut up, I think that will piss a lot of fans off, Alex. I really do. And
because we've been used to Amanda, and that again was problematic because we got quite often she would go a little bit too far sometimes in her ambitions and interviews. Okay, maybe that's wrong because obviously she's speaking to the PIF directly, so it's not necessarily wrong. That's stupid of me to say, but she was lavishing a little bit, like quite a lot in public, and the media were running amok with it, and we were getting kind of, a lot of media attention for maybe the wrong reasons.
Chris at Evermore says, losing players of that quality and being priced out of replacements at a similar level, I can't see a win there, I'm afraid, Alex. That's why we brought in Paul
Mitchell.
Yeah, but
recruitment to try and stop that, to try and be able to bring through players. That's what we need. We need to take risks on players and pick the right ones.
I tell you what's going to be an interesting poll, Alex, before we put the first player up, right? I'm going to ask the viewers if they still have faith in Paul Mitchell, right? Just a simple yes or no. And then see what comes back.
Crazy. That's a mental poll.
Why?
I think because you've got to wait and assess the signings. He was left with a mess, and he's having to.
That's what I'm saying. Do they still have faith that he's going to bring in the signings? That's what I'm asking. So we'll just see what comes back.
Okay. Do what you want. I think that's silly though, because everybody's just guessing on what they think maybe our financial standpoint is. Nobody has a clue. We don't have a clue. Nor does anybody.
Faith in Paul Mitchell as to bring in the right players. Nothing to do with finances.
Oh, is in the right players.
If they have the faith to get rid of the wrong players and bring in the right ones. Nothing to do with money.
His track record proves that he can do that. There's nothing
absolutely
to suggest
does.
He can't.
But that's what we want to see in our club now. What his track record has proven.
I think everybody's vote is going to be based on his record and then their gut feeling, because there's nothing else to go on. It's only those two things really you can kind of go is, do you think he might be good enough in your gut and in your heart, and what's his track record? Well, and what else could we go on?
We'll see what we come back with.
Not really anything else to do, is there? I'd just like to mention Amanda again, by the way, because I got told to move on. So Amanda didn't help with this situation. I'm going to mention it again. We can't just ignore it.
Yeah. Luke's been a member for 29 months. Paul Mitchell needs to draft in his brothers Phil and Grant. A couple of heavies during the transfer negotiations might swing things our way. Yeah, maybe. Right, first player that we're looking at tonight is Alex Baena. Now, he was literally heavily linked. Was it? Yes, I think it was just yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, you mentioned him on a show 2 days ago, so I put him to the front of the list just because we were talking about him.
Yeah.
He sent somebody to hospital the other day as well. So, but as soon as I started researching him and watching the most recent game, he's run up and absolutely shouldered into somebody's face. It was a Slovakian centre half and sent him to hospital. So it wasn't the greatest of tackles. It was a bit nasty. I'm not 100% sure it was on purpose. I think it might have just been one of those. I think he was maybe going in for an ultra strong 50-50 that wasn't completely from the side. Just one of those. So quite nasty from him. But we have Alejandro Baena Rodriguez, but we're going to go with Alex Baena because it's close enough. 23-year-old winger, versatile midfieldery winger we're going to go with. At the moment, now please don't kill me. At the moment, he plays on the left wing. Or the left midfield. They play in a 4-4-2. So I know, but he's linked. Well, there's more to this. He's only 23 years old, so he's very, very young. He's involved in the Spanish national side and all of that setup at the moment. He's been playing recent National League games. Of course, we know Spain are quite good at international competitions because they've just beaten us in a final, which is quite annoying. For anybody not from England in the chat, yeah, we did lose the Euro final. So he's currently at Villarreal, contracted until June 2028. So at the end of this year, he'll have 3 years left on his deal. And he's on reasonable euros, some Spanish money. Season so far, pretty good. 4 goals, 5 assists in just shy of 1,400 minutes. And he's very on point for his XG and his XA. So he deserves the output. He's not running hot. He's not flashing the pan numbers. He's earned what he's put in. And in terms of data, it's quite green. It's really green.
It is.
He's very good. So just to break this down for people, it might help if we scroll down and have a look at the stat matches because I showed this to you the other night, Paul. He's very much. Do you remember how when we did a lot of reviews on James Maddison a couple of years ago, we kind of classified him as a right winger, but he can also play a lot of midfield and do a lot of creative midfieldy things. Similar to like Phil Foden on the left, he can be a wide player, but can also do central things. Similar to Julian Brandt for Dortmund, De Bruyne at times, maybe not so much anymore. So you can kind of see the vibe here. He's a winger, but he's also got a lot of midfield quality. He's got a good through ball, a good switch, a good long ball. He likes to play people through into the penalty area. He's got very good technical ability, especially with passes. He's very, very gifted with ball carrying as well. Good at ball retention. He's got really, really good first touch, really good dribbling. I mean, he's Spanish. I just need to say he's Spanish, don't I? That's probably enough. Shot creating actions, fantastic. He's in the top 1% in the Big 5 leagues. And this is not just off this season, guys. This is off 2,800 minutes. So these numbers are proper locked in. This is how this guy plays, fact. So 5.88 shot creating actions per 90 is really high. So not only is he getting 2 shots himself a game, he's also providing teammates with nearly 6 for them. So he's responsible, or kind of responsible, for eight and a bit shots per game that are happening as a result of he's involved in that, whether it's build up or him shooting himself. So let's bring up the scout report a bit more because there's a few more interesting bits in here. So he's also a set piece taker. He does penalties, free kicks, corners. So he's proper playmaker. He gets involved in all of that. We've got one thing I wanted to show you is some of the creative stuff. So passes into the penalty area. Oh, I didn't mean to click on that. Passes into the penalty area, crosses into the penalty area, key passes, and the long balls as well. So that is pretty crazy. He's in the top 1 or 2% for key passes, getting the ball into the penalty area and crossing into the penalty area. So this guy does the business end of football really, really well, whether it's scoring or helping people get chances. He's doing all of those things. If we want to compare, it's probably that time in the show where I'm going to talk about Maxi. Everybody's saying about not finishing dinners. This guy not only finishes his dinner, but he makes dinner for everyone else. He's so creative. The long balls as well. If you do watch him play, got an absolutely lovely switch, lovely long ball, fantastic. He'll zip through balls from 30 yards on the floor. Crazy vision, really high technical level player. You can see down here as well, crosses per 90, top 2%, nearly 7 crosses per game every single game is outrageous, by the way.
Yeah,
and takes the corners. So
by the way, Alex, before you move on, I've took the poll down because I can't be asked with it, to be honest. So basically what I've asked in a new poll is, would you like to see a daily live late morning news show on the channel. I've been thinking about it for a while for doing like instead of doing just sort of 10-minute videos, interacting with you guys a lot more, maybe do an 11:30 live show every day as well, just talking about the early morning news, and then anything that happens in the afternoon we can of course talk about on an evening as well, just to get your views, because I like interacting with you, but I want to get your input on it, guys, because I'm not going to say, I'm going to start doing daily news shows late morning about 11:30 and then nobody bother turning up. You know what I mean? It's we still need the views on the channel, if that makes sense. Don't necessarily won't be an hour's long on a morning. There could be half an hour, 40 minutes, just going through the latest news, getting your comments in the live chat, etc. So let me know in the old poll if you would like to see a live daily show at around about 11:30 every day as well, covering everything Newcastle United. Get voting on that and we'll touch on that later on. Sorry, Alex, carry on, bud.
Yeah, no worries. Oh, just an update, Beans, as everybody's kind of in the house now. Everybody's turned up. I did see Billy yesterday, and he did allow me to. He was happy for me to kind of explain what the situation is. So Billy is in hospital at the moment, guys. He's okay at the moment. Nothing, as far as I'm aware, life-threatening or anything. He's fine. He's chilling. So I went to see him last night. Took him a little Premier League sticker booklet and some bits and bobs, and had a chat with him for a bit. So he won't be on shows at the moment for the foreseeable future, but he is going to be watching. I think he's a little bit bored. So
I think he's in the chat.
He does jump in the chat.
I saw him earlier on.
Potentially, yeah. So if he jumps in the chat, say hi. But he's all good. Had a chat with him yesterday. So yeah, just thought I'd pass that on to everybody. So because a lot of people are a little bit in the dark about it. So
yeah. But we obviously couldn't tell you guys until we had Billy's permission to tell you, basically, what was going on. I mean, obviously, we know, but like I say, he's given Alex permission to tell you what's going on. So he's okay. Well, let's go. Let's carry on with this guy, Alex.
So a couple of people asked how old he was. He's 23. And it is a good thing we're reviewing this guy, because I think Billy would very much like this player, to be fair.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's still here. Ratings for this season, you can see, look at the consistency. So this is from Feb all the way through to this Jan. So that is some stable high ratings he's putting up. Yes, for people who have probably noticed, he's going to be really expensive. So I don't quite know where all of these links have come from. They don't logically quite make sense, but we have been linked. So we're going to look at him in case he's maybe on the radar for us, maybe in a different window. It might not be now because he's a lot of money. So anyway, let's scroll down and have a look. Recent ratings are pretty high. So you've got a good cluster of goals as well since sort of November time. He got a goal here and an 8.4 rating against Osasuna. Here is the 4-4-2 that they play in out on the left. And here's his little stats for the game. He got a goal. What else did we get? Half an expected assist. So maybe people could have done a little bit better for him there. 4 key passes, good creative numbers, 6 accurate crosses, tried 11, 5 accurate long balls. So just trying to make things happen for teammates. 1 shot on target, which was his goal. Completed a dribble. Okay physically. Physically, I've watched quite a lot of this kid in the last 48 hours. And he seems to get out of issues with technical ability. Quite willing to be combative for a second ball. Not the biggest guy, but gets out of. Nor is Bruno though. Sometimes if you've got the timing, and the aggression and the technical ability, you don't have to be the biggest person. He's got a bit of that about him. He's not bad at all physically. What else did he get? 3 interceptions and a tackle in this game as well. Yeah, his interceptions, some of his interceptions are quite good. A few people saying he was linked to Arsenal. Yes, he was. If you do stick him into YouTube, I'm pretty sure the first video that comes up is a welcome to Arsenal video, because they're just everywhere, Arsenal fans. You just can't you can't seem to go into a room without one. So anyway, really, really good ratings recently. This was his game, which was yesterday. They beat Mallorca 4-0. He did score in this game as well in a 4-4-2, him out on the left. That is the guy, Mr. Valiant, the Slovakian, that he absolutely shoulder barged into next year. Poor guy. It was a horrible tackle, by the way. And stats for this game, again, we're seeing a theme: 4 key passes. Not as many successful crosses or long balls, but still, he got a lot of key passes in this game. He got his goal, high expected assist levels as well. A bit meh physically, but again, he's putting up the creative numbers. 1 error leading to shot there, which I don't remember that moment. Might have to go watch it again. I don't remember him losing the ball and anything that. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Right, so business end of this. Transfer market. How much is he going to cost? Well, he's got 8 caps for Spain with 2 goals so far. He has the same agent. We do know CAA Stella because I've been in contact with them before. We're trying to get Elliot Anderson to come and speak to us. And yeah, he moved from his old agency to CAA Stella. So we've dealt with them before as an agency because it's who Elliot Anderson signed to. I think we might have a couple of other players on them as well. Well, of course, Elliot Anderson is not with us anymore.
He's got a release clause, this kid, wasn't he? I'm sure already he's got a... Is it?
I think there was something floating around about it. It's not listed on this website. So
I'm sure it said about 50 million release clause, which I'd be surprised if we try and activate that. But there you go.
And it's roughly around his market value. So yeah, he's been involved with the youth national setup for a very, very long time. He's been considered a player of the future since the under 16s. I'd imagine he's probably played in the setup prior to that as well.
He's a full international now, isn't he?
He is a full international, yeah. If I go back to his SOFA score, you've got... He played in Spain's last match against Denmark, and that was on the 15th of November. So was he in the starting lineup? We can definitely... Oh, Perez scored in that game. Well done, lad.
He did.
Where are you? There you go. Yes, he started in a 4-2-3-1 on the left and got injured. Oh, dear. Still.
Well, he's not injured now.
So... He's not injured now. He's doing fine. Right. So just for people, because I know this, but I've not been keeping it on the chat because I've been doing this bit. Can't multitask that well. I'm sure there's people that have furiously typed about the fact he's a left wing. Joe, hang on a minute. Hang on. Position-wise, wait for it. Wait. I've pulled up his appearance numbers by position, just to give you an idea as to this guy. He's pretty versatile positionally, but he does kind of like playing on the left, and he's pretty good at it. So he's played 74 times as a left winger, 49 as an attacking midfielder. He has played on the right wing 15 times, central midfield as well, left mid, second striker, centre forward, and even just a standard flat right midfielder. So he's played both sides and centrally and in a supporting role for the forwards. So I don't think it completely closes the door on this player being a useful fit to our squad. I don't think this is a signing for this window at all. I think that is basically a 0%, unless there is something, unless Paul Mitchell's got magical things hidden up his sleeve. I think this is something that maybe I don't see this being unrealistic for a summer signing, because I think we'll try and go quite hard in the summer. I think we really, really will. That's why.
Well, we thought we were going to go quite hard in the winter, Alex, but you know, hey,
wow, got to be optimistic. So yeah, this is Baena. He's versatile, playmaker, winger.
I love him.
Spanish,
I absolutely love him, Alex.
23 years old as well. He's absolutely no disrespect to the yellow submarines in Villarreal, but I think he's almost ready. He's been in the oven long enough.
Mr. Ornstein said today, Alex, funny enough, was talking about Anthony Gordon and how that deal to Liverpool was so close to going through until Newcastle realised that they had another out, which was obviously Anderson and Mente. But he did mention that if ever such thing happens again in the summer, they may well revisit that. So it's not out of all realms of possibility.
I don't believe that. I don't believe we give him a contract like that.
I'm just saying what's been written, mate. This is the thing. I don't believe it for a second. I think Anthony Gordon signed a long-term contract now, and he's with us for years.
I know that David Ornstein is the new prophet of what is right and wrong in football. True or false, probably. But yeah, I've listened to him on a few podcasts about us with the situation, and he was not very complimentary about us at all.
No.
in regards to the Minte and Anderson situation.
Nobody is
and a couple
anymore,
of things
Alex.
were a little bit unresearched, as well as a couple of comments about how much players have played and standards. I'm still on the fence.
Martin Watson with a super chat. Thank you, mate. He says, this is for Billy. Can Alex get some goodies? Then have a collection for him and buy him some nice gifts. Thank you, Martin. Very kind. Look, he looks a mint player, but again, it's left-hand side, isn't it, that he's majority played on, and he's played a few times on the right. Look, the way the reports were banging on about him yesterday was that, or the day before, sorry, on Monday, was that this guy was the next player to come in to solve the Almiron and the right-hand side problem. Somebody simply hasn't done their homework.
If anybody goes and watches this guy, even if it's just YouTube clips, which I get, remember YouTube clips is obviously only the best bit, so you have to really, really be careful with that. His left foot is not bad. Like, there's a lot of stuff of him pinging 40, 50-yard switches, left foot, right foot, shots, chips, through balls. He's quite capable of doing it with both feet from what I've seen of him so far. I think he is right-footed, but I think he's got a much better left foot than what Jacob Murphy's currently got. And yeah, this is a big signing. This could be a really big player for somebody in the summer, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I wish it was in the winter, because by God, it would be a hell of a statement signing, wouldn't it? But again, anyway, let's have a look at player number 2.
Is Ryan in the house?
It's Jonathan David. Now, there is a lot of reports kicking about, Alex, that we have already started conversations with with his representatives for a summer move. This wouldn't be a winter move. All the reports are stating that this would be a summer move. Now, people watched him last night, and I've seen a few people say, "Oh, he didn't look that good." You know what I mean? That you can't judge this guy. He scored. Yeah. I love Jonathan David, and again, there are strong reports saying that we've been out there, we've scouted him numerous times this season. We're sending people back to France. This one is certainly looking like a possibility, Alex, all the reports are saying for the summer, because his contract's ending and things like that. Jonathan David has said he'd love to play in the Premier League. So it's a genuine one, this one, I think.
Yeah, so this one, okay, so to bring everybody up to speed, there's quite a lot of you who know who Jonathan David is. Before we signed Alexander Isak, there was a cluster of strikers who all the top clubs were kind of going, don't know if he's going to take that next step. And 2 of them that were near the top of that list were Alexander Isak and Jonathan David. We pulled the trigger on Alexander Isak. Obviously, there were a lot of clubs, sort of Arsenal and other top clubs, looking at Jonathan David. Nobody pulled the trigger on him. He stayed at Lille. He's been at Lille for quite a while now. Yes. So he's still kind of that guy that was in that bracket with Isak, who never got that move. Well, not that he was meant to have that move, but same age as well at 25. Isak's 25. So that kind of brings people up to speed who've not kind of been in the loop. But this guy's been around for a long, long time. He's now putting up really consistent numbers season on season. So he is a striker. And I'm just going to skip right the way to the seasons prior so you can see what he's been doing. So I think this is really important data to see. So this season, he's on 11 goals from 15 starts with a couple of assists. Last season, he finished with 19 goals. Season before, 24. And then you're going back for when he was quite young.
But Alex, look at the games played. He very rarely injured. He's very, very rarely injured.
I mean, it's like you've got a copy of my notes, Paul.
Yeah.
That is my next point, is let's compare this to Callum Wilson's availability. So not only have we got the availability, he's got the output as well. Yeah. Fair enough, this is in Ligue 1, but he does have 5 goals in the Champions League this year. Unless it's 6, and last night it's not been added into this graphic. Could be wrong. He scored quite a few goals in the Champions League anyway. So consistency of availability. He's also, funnily enough, he had 29 starts for Lille in the same season they won the league when Sven Botman was still there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the same season.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Is that the same season?
Yeah.
It must be. It's got to be the same season. They don't win the league that much, Lille. So Sorry, Lil.
It's the only time they've won in the last 5 years, Alex. So it's definitely the one Botman was in. 100%.
Right, scroll back up to the data.
Just a super chat come in there. Terence Anchors, thank you, mate. For Billy, take care, mate. Thank you very much, Terence. Much appreciated. I mean, somebody said his wages would be astronomical, but his wages aren't bad at Lille. And you know what? I don't think he'd be anywhere near what people are suggesting. You know, I think the wages would be okay.
No, I think the wages are going to be a lot.
Yeah, but we're talking. Yeah, but I'm not talking about like 200-300 grand a week here, Alex. He's not gonna be able to get that kind of money.
He would. Oh, absolutely, he would. This is the problem with Newcastle at the moment in terms of our setup. We can offer him. We can offer him a poster on the Tyne Bridge. It does not matter.
But the thing is, he'd be a free transfer, wouldn't he? So we could give him more wages, technically.
Yeah, but we have a structure.
Let's say
we break the
structure.
Let's say we break the bank for him, and we give him 120, 140k a week, and a signing on bonus that's pretty tidy. And then somebody with stupid money, like an Arsenal or a Man United or a Man City, somebody comes in and offers him 300 grand a week. That's it. It's done. Game over. They're offering double. We can't compete with that. We just can't. It's cartel club money. We can't do it. We literally can't compete. So it depends on him as a person, on picking projects. There's a lot more to it that we just won't be able to figure out as a fan base. That's going to be privy to his friends, his family, his personal mindset, his agent. We don't know. We're not really sure on that. You know, would he want to come to a challenging project like this to take us to that next level and take us from a sleeping giant into a big winner? Who knows? Anyway, so let's move on a little bit. People saying about, he's going to be a free transfer. I think that the chairman's come out and stated from Lille this week, he's not going in January. This guy is in the Champions League right now. He wants to help Lille in the Champions League this season. He's at least a 20-goal a striker season, which I agree with. Yeah. And he's not going anywhere. And if they're going to lose him for free, they're going to lose him for free. So the chairman's come out and said that. Few people theorizing this could be an Isak out, Jonathan David in jobby, which, is terrifying. But financially would be ridiculous for the club. If we could get 130, 40, 50 for Isak and replace him with somebody that's still really good and he's free, that could propel us into be a title challenging team. As horrible as that sounds, I would much rather we did it with Alexander Isak and players like Bruno as well. All right, let's have a look at the important stuff. Some of the data, which is a little bit modest, to be fair, compared to his actual output. So very careful with the ball. Progressive passes is very high. So he's quite good. A few of the websites kind of rank him down in this, but I think his physicality, his anchor play, bringing others into the game has improved massively. Because I remember watching him loads in the season we got Isak, and then watching him recently. Such a different player. He's grown so much. He's a lot more technically gifted. I'm watching little back heels to bring teammates into play. And he's got a lot more physicality about him as well. He's profiling well in tackles and interceptions as a forward, as a striker. He is proper striker as well, although still quite good at running channels. There's a lot of moments where he's sort of trying to force the ball into the box from the right wing. Sometimes comes in from slightly more central from the left, but he is a lot more of a forward than Isak is in terms of the physicality. Just to kind of show you who he's profiling like, you've got Visser from Brentford. Alvarez obviously was at Man City, he's now at Atletico. You've got Mikatuadze, the Georgian, who went to Lyon. I don't know why Mopé's on this list.
I have no idea why Mopé's on there. The man is a prick. I can't stand that.
Belong here. Yeah, really strange. If we have a look at his recent games as well, that's a nice set of ratings he's got there over the last 12 months. Very, very impressive. Strengths is penalty taking, finishing, anchor play. Finishing and anchor play, definitely. These are huge parts of his game. Ball control, I don't know. I think that's doing him a bit dirty. I think he's been fine this year. I've watched him a few times. I personally don't think there's a problem with ball control. Aerial duels, he's better than Isak at aerial duels. I mean, we can compare this. Oh, okay. He's about the same, Isak. What is wrong with people being tall and physical and not being able to hit the ball?
It seems we never. Well, Alex, I mean, to be honest, our number 9s, apart from maybe Wilson, You know, you look back to Mitrovic, he never used to jump for headers from goal kicks and stuff like that. He used to try and take them down his chest all the time and lost the ball so many times. It seems we go for players that, you know, that aren't tending to be good, strong headers of the ball, which is a little bit weird. We've got a couple of super chats in just before we go on. Peter Garthwaite says there are reports that we can't spend anything because Amanda and Co left the club in a PSR mess. And we only just scraped through by selling Minty, etc. And the Ruffian Benisian says, would he want to be second string to Isak? Obviously talking about Jonathan David.
That's an interesting point because I think Isak has got more flexibility in terms of position. Jonathan David is very much a forward. I think you could be versatile with him, but it's like putting Lukaku out wide. Very different players, but I think it would be too much of a shoehorn for me. I think Isak on the left works, but you've got to have a highly competent. The rest of the squad's got to be really balanced because Isak's defensive work isn't great. And then what do you do with Anthony Gordon? So yes, it does cause problems. Or he's a replacement for Isak is the alternative.
Yeah.
Which I don't like that either.
No.
But anyway, we're talking about him as a possibility. So I zoomed in on the squad. Oh, why are we refreshing? What are we doing, SofaScore? Come on, guys.
I don't know, but the left hand side for Lille. Interesting player.
It's because my right. Hang on a minute. It's because my VPN has reconnected. So give me a sec.
Forbidden, Alex.
Yeah, I know. SofaScore apparently.
Anyway, it was
can't
Remy.
Operate a football
Well,
thing.
no, Remy Cabella, of course, who I thought wasn't given a proper chance at Newcastle. I really did think he looked the part and could have been the part, but it wasn't the part, unfortunately.
So Cabella used to play for us, so interesting. And then Michel Bakker, who I'm pretty sure was a left back, who we were interested in once upon a time. I think it was it not Atalanta? Somewhere like that.
It might be, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody can remember in the chat. I'm pretty sure this guy is a left back, now playing on the right wing. So he's had a bit of a change. Anyway, Jonathan David.
Well, speaking of Mandy's, it was a bad game for their right back. Anyway, sent off.
Oh yeah, got sent off. So one shot on target, which was his goal. Very, very tidy with the ball. You've got to be careful with, when it's Liverpool. One key pass, 1 out of 3 ground duels. They didn't send anything sort of high to him. Yeah, difficult for him. Liverpool dominated that. An error leading to shot. I'm not sure what that was. But yeah, Liverpool dominating possession. And he was clinical when he was called upon. He's got a lot of games where he's sort of helped considerably more. Sort of the Montpellier game, the Brest game. He's got an 8.1 here. That was in the Coupe de France. So I don't know what division Rouen are in, but probably a little bit lower.
Yeah, but he's against 2 very strong centre backs. They're pairing with Brest. I've got to get it in, Alex.
Swiftly moving on.
Yeah.
2 goals and 1 assist in this game. 3 shots on target. Still would prefer to see a little bit more physicality from him. But again, when you got 3 goal contributions in a game, that is fantastic. Transfer marked. I mean, it doesn't really matter because he's going to be free, isn't he? He's just going to have a fat signing on bonus. He's not actually Canadian. He was born in Brooklyn in New York. So he is technically from the United States of America land.
The United Stand? What?
United Stand. It'll be different. United States of America land. But he has declared for Canada and has been with them for a very long time. I mean, he's got 59 caps. So definitely dedicated there.
Absolutely.
And yeah, the market value doesn't really matter. I mean, it's a good investment because of the market value, because you're signing him for free. So even if it doesn't work out, even if he completely capitulates as a player, you're going to get a return on investment from him if you try to move him on. So it makes sense. But the problem is, I think there's going to be loads of competition for him. Transfermarkt seem to think he's both-footed. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, I think it's a really smart deal. The problem is so does probably every other club. So yeah. It's one of those moves probably this summer where the decision and all the negotiating power is with Jonathan David. He can basically take his pick.
I mean, I'd have him in a heartbeat. I think anybody would really, but like I say, it boils down to certainly other clubs interested in him. It boils down to wages offered and what kind of package the player can get. And also where he'll be playing, because Champions League football means a lot to these players. So it's, you know, when Isak's already here, but like you say, Alex, if things go well, if a massive bid comes in for Isak, you just never know. It's mental.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Let's say somebody does bid silly money. Let's say PSG comes in with 150 for Isak.
Yeah.
Are we saying no to 150 mil? There have been a few people in the chat that have said, yeah, but people don't always get their rebuilds right. Look at West Ham with the Rice money.
Yeah.
You are right, but that's the risk you take. It's the opportunity to improve the squad immensely. And it's one reason why we've brought in somebody like Paul Mitchell to handle the squad build, because you need somebody of that caliber to be able to do it. Obviously, Nixon seems pretty spot on with talent ID, because Nixon has been responsible for your Botmans and Brunos and Isaks. Let's not forget he was an Ashley employee, and he's managed to step up. Or maybe he's always been this good. He just didn't have the range and the scope and the money. But Paul Mitchell's there for the build, for the overall build.
We'll leave it at that for tonight for players, Alex, because we've got a few minutes left. But I want to turn your attention to what I'm looking at now, which is a report from the Chronicle. Funny enough, and what they're saying here is just, I mean, it's just typical of what the media have come out with lately. Apparently, Newcastle United have a very firm interest in Juventus midfielder Douglas Luiz. It says the former Aston Villa man has struggled for regular game time since making the move in the summer, with him linked back to a move in the Premier League. Now, I did see this earlier on, and I saw somebody also put, oh, well, that would be great, because if we signed Douglas Luiz, it means Alicia Lehman would come and play for Newcastle Women. Newcastle reportedly joined by Man City, Villa, and Nottingham Forest in their interest. The report, however, goes on to moot a possible swap deal between Newcastle and Juventus. Have you any clue, Alex, who they're mentioning for Newcastle to go in the swap deal?
Are they suggesting a straight swap here? Or
yes.
I mean, Douglas Luiz is what, 40? I mean, how old is he now? Hang on, let me do my maths in my head first. Hang on, before I give you a proper answer. Douglas Luiz he's 20. Oh, he's younger than I thought he was. Is this the right Douglas Luiz? For Juventus. Yeah, he's 26 and a half. I thought he was older than that.
Anyway.
I mean, he's probably okay. Fine, he's probably worth a bit more than 40. Then it depends on the buying club and how well he's doing at the moment. I've not really had a look. I'd say he's 40, 50 mil. They're there or thereabouts. Who does that compare to in our squad? I mean, Bruno's worth double that. Isak's worth double or triple that. I mean, Joe Linton maybe, because he's 29, 28.
Sandro Tonali, Alex.
Oh no, definitely not. They can jog on. They can jog to their bike, get on the bike, and bugger
Suggestions say that Sandro Tonali could go to Juve with Luiz coming the other way. It's a deal that is described as logical and satisfying for both clubs. Hairy arse.
This screams, and Stephen in the chat's got it right. Is this from an Italian media source by any chance?
Do you know what, Alex? It may well be. It also says, while the move may make a lot of sense for Juventus, I don't think the same can be said for Newcastle. This is what the Chronicle is saying, by the way. Tonali is impressed under Eddie Howe so far this season, so swapping him for a player who has struggled for regular game time with his club wouldn't be the smartest of moves. If a swap deal is what Juve demand for Luiz, then Newcastle will be best moving on and sticking with Tonali.
Well, Tonali's 2 years younger, better, and he's a European player. He's not outside of Europe as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what we talking about here. Doesn't make
sense.
It's
it's then gone on to state that Newcastle United have sent did send a high-level club employee to Lille's victory over Nice at the weekend, watching Jonathan David, who is, of course, out of contract in
I did read that, yeah. That's all it said in that report. I did read that, high-level employee. What does that mean?
I mean, what is a high-level employee? Why don't they just say a scout? Because, you know, why?
But it might not be. It might be a board member or something, or somebody, or
But you don't
somebody
tend to
pretty
send
close to
board
Mitchell.
members to scout players, Alex, do you, really?
Well, then why don't they just say scout? Why do they say high-level employee?
Exactly.
Is it just Nixon?
Well, it could well be.
I think we need to do a bit more for following like people's movement. I mean, this is what In the Knows do, though. This is why we don't want to go down this road. It's you can do that if you start following all of sort of Nixon and everybody. You follow all of their family members and them and friends on Instagram and Snapchat, and you have a look at who's going to airports and things, and you can roughly figure out what people are doing. But then it's all guesswork, and that's why they get a lot wrong as well. So it's a dangerous road to go down playing that.
Absolutely. Now, there is some, well, not good news for the player, but it is believed that Tyler Dibbling will miss the game on Saturday through injury for Southampton. Now, this is, of course, a player that Newcastle are rumoured to be interested in. However, the Magpies apparently face competition from Tottenham and also German side RB Leipzig. Are looking at him. Leipzig willing to pay £30 million or euros, sorry, for the winger, but that is much lower than what Southampton will demand. So, listen, that's another. Tyler Dibbling has been linked with us. I think that's fair to say, quite strongly. But again, it's not going to be a winter transfer, so it's pointless.
I'm not too fussed about that. I mean, we skipped recruiting for important positions recently. In recent windows, we brought in Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento early to just get them in because they were available. We were like, oh my God, these two are going to be great. We've got the opportunity. We need to do it right now. Even though there were more pressing positions at that time because Trippier was doing really well, we'd got positions fairly covered. I think now we can't be doing that again for another window or two. We can't be just going and buying things because they're available and it will work in 2 to 3 years. We're at that point where we kind of need a bit of help in important areas now. We can't keep kicking it down the road forever. We need to address positions right now. You know, we've basically, let's not forget, and this is not Eddie Howe brilliance, and this is not, well, it is a little bit of coaching, I guess. There's definitely coaching that's gone in. But Dubravka magically coming back into the side and suddenly not being like he was last year, nobody could have fathomed. Nor did the club, because they were about to sell him.
Yeah.
So they didn't believe this was going to happen either, because they basically got rid of him. So we got a little bit lucky in that regard. So we just need to be a lot smarter with the next couple of windows. We've got to be so clinical.
And finally, just to let everybody know that the Newcastle United Supporters Trust has sent a letter to the Newcastle board to plead that they freeze season ticket prices for the 25-26 season. Obviously, they've just sent that off, so there's nothing come back from Newcastle United as such as yet. But they have submitted a letter to, well, it says Darren Eales, but obviously it'll be to everybody because Darren's not going to be in the job much longer. So we'll see what occurs with that.
I do have one more piece of news as well. I don't know if you've seen it. Andy Ford's just mentioned it. Oh, that's not Andy Ford. That's Andy Ford. Lewis Hall's interview on Optus Sports YouTube channel. I watched it when I got home. It's brilliant. Go and have a look at Optus Sports YouTube channel when you finish with us, or go and watch Paul's video from earlier if you haven't seen it. But yeah, Optus Sport interview with Lewis Hall. It is fantastic. It's like a 15-minute interview. I think it's with what's his name? Bridges. I can't remember his first name now. Name's eluding
Michael.
me. That's the one. And just having a chat with him about his career so far in the move. It's a good sort of 15-minute interview. And Lewis was talking about the fact that last season he was basically staying behind after every single training session, working on loads of stuff. Eddie Howe's worked with him loads after training and individual training sessions and stuff. And it goes into loads of detail. He's a very, very grounded young man. And very, very gifted. Considering he's only 20, he speaks very well. So it's and strangely enough, he talks about his two most influential players from Chelsea and Newcastle, and he talks about Thiago Silva and Dan Bird. So you can see where his head's at as a young man. A lot of obviously young people would go for Isaks and Brunos, but no, he's gone for the leadership too, which I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah, didn't he say something around that Dan Burn is the only player that reminds him of the way or the same training methods as Thiago Silva. That, as for working
Something like
so
that.
hard in training,
Yeah, just for the professionalism, and so for I mean that's a great compliment for Dan Burn that he's being mentioned next to Thiago Silva in terms of leadership and professionalism. But I just love the fact that that's where Lewis Hall's brain goes to as a 20-year-old, not the flashy flair players. It's gone to the leadership players. I think that's really curious. So maybe interesting for what he's going to be like as a player when he grows up, when he gets older, a bit older than he is now.
And finally, the poll, guys. I did ask you, would you like to see a live daily late morning news show on the channel? 83% said yes, and that's over 600 votes. So I guess the demand is there, Alex, for me to do a live show instead of a recorded one. I mean, look, I prefer doing lives just as long as the views are still there. I mean, people can obviously re-watch it later on if they missed the actual live show. So we'll may well start that and then see how that goes, and obviously check how the numbers are and people watching it after the live. So like throughout the day, and see if the views still match up with the video. So
I have got one last thing that is quite important to address. A couple of people have just mentioned it, Peter Merrifield as well, about Patreon. It's been a little bit tricky this last week because we're not really sure what was going on with Billy. So obviously now Billy's going to be unavailable for a little while. I'm going to just have a crack at getting some stuff out alone. If people are cool with that, I'm quite happy to do a bit of a setup like me and Paul do here. It would be more of an extra stuff, just going into a bit more detail on certain things that we don't have time for on the show, and giving you some more content. So apologies for maybe not having some stuff out in the last 4, 5, 6 days. It's been a bit tricky to navigate that. So I am aware. We will sort it. Stuff is coming, but thank you very much for being patient.
Absolutely. I mean, Sam obviously has a very, very tough job as well. So, we're kind of flying low on on hosts and stuff at the minute. So we are doing our best to keep going, guys. It's I've been pretty poorly the last couple of days as well with the stomach bug, and just Alex has been all over the place with busy at work and phone dying on him and things like that. So we've had a lot, but we're still going, guys. We're still putting it out there for you. Don't worry. But thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. Don't forget, we're back tomorrow at 7:00 with the preview for the Southampton game. And also there may well probably be a new show at some point tomorrow, whether that be live or recorded, I'm not sure yet. We'll wait and see, but we will let you know through socials. Thank you for your super chats, memberships. Mods, thank you for another brilliant job. And of course, Alex, thank you very much. But a massive thank you to you guys. Over 1,600 on both platforms tonight watching. So thank you so much again for your support. It means the world to us. Please do give it the thumbs up if you haven't already. And of course, subscribe if you're new to the channel and you like what you see. And finally, a massive thank you to Mamaroo Records. Head into Whitley Bay. If you're ever around in there, check them out. Go and see Steve. Tell him you're a TTR viewer and he'll sort you out with all your music needs. If you can't get into the shop, they are online. That's pinned at the top of the description. But that is it. Thank you very much for watching tonight, and we will see you all again tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the evening, folks. Take care.
Away the lads and lasses.
Come back and check out some green.